For nearly a decade, Godwin Emefiele sat at the apex of Nigeria's financial system as governor of the central bank, but his tenure ended in a sweeping anti-corruption crackdown that stripped him of his authority and triggered a massive seizure of his personal wealth. This map shows the volume and geographic spread of the physical properties taken from him overnight. The state seized multiple luxury duplexes in the most exclusive districts of Lagos, Ikoyi and Lekki Phase 1, along with a massive industrial complex spanning 22 plots of land in Delta State. The confiscation extended directly into massive liquid assets. Authorities secured over $2 million in cash, alongside corporate share certificates belonging to the Queensdorf Global Fund. Emefiele fought back. He appealed the initial forfeiture order and actually secured a favorable ruling at the appellate level, a verdict that nearly forced the state to hand the entire empire back to him. However, the federal government pushed the case all the way to the Supreme Court, which delivered a unanimous judgment to confiscate every asset permanently. To secure this absolute victory, the government utilized a specific legal maneuver. They completely bypassed the need to convict Emefiele in a standard criminal trial, and instead put his physical assets on trial. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, or EFCC, handles Nigeria's major anti-graft cases. When prosecuting high-profile individuals, securing a criminal conviction is notoriously difficult, often facing years of systemic delays. To avoid that gridlock, the EFCC's Director of Public Prosecutions, Rotimi Oyedepo, executed a strategic pivot. He separated the man from his money. This strategy is known as an action in rem, a Latin term meaning against a thing. Rather than filing charges against a human being, an action in rem directs a lawsuit specifically against a piece of property. This tactic triggers act. Under this provision, the state does not have to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The law sets a lower standard, requiring only that the assets are reasonably suspected to be the proceeds of unlawful activity. To fulfill this requirement, investigating officer David J. Obia submitted a sworn affidavit. His testimony provided the necessary links, tying the luxury properties, the $2 million, and the share certificates directly to illicit funds. By utilizing this burden of proof, the state wields a devastatingly effective weapon. It allows authorities to freeze and seize wealth definitively, long before a sprawling personal criminal trial ever reaches a conclusion. The strategy initially worked exactly as intended. At the Federal High Court in Lagos, Justice D.I. Daipelu reviewed the application and granted the EFCC an order for final forfeiture. Emefiele's defense team immediately countered. They took the fight to the Court of Appeal and secured a judgment that completely overturned the lower court's decision. This appellate reversal raised the stakes. Without a successful challenge, the EFCC would be legally compelled to release the entire multi-million-dollar empire back to Emefiele. The EFCC launched a final push. They elevated their argument directly to the highest judicial authority in the nation, the Supreme Court of Nigeria. A 5-member panel of Supreme Court justices, led by Justice Ibrahim Salawa, reviewed the conflicting rulings and delivered a unanimous judgment. The Supreme Court fully endorsed the EFCC's legal stance. The justices agreed that the real estate cash met the legal threshold for confiscation, confirming they were reasonably suspected to have been acquired with the proceeds of unlawful activities. That single ruling neutralized the appellate court's decision instantly. Emefiele exhausted his legal options, and the forfeiture of his assets was permanently cemented. The legal battle ended with a stark reality for the former central bank governor. The duplexes, the industrial complex, the cash, and the corporate shares are now irreversibly the property of the Nigerian federal government. These highly localized luxury assets, embedded in some of the country's most exclusive districts, have been entirely absorbed back into state control. Beyond the sheer dollar value, this unanimous ruling creates an ironclad judicial precedent. It firmly validates the EFCC's action in rem strategy at the highest level of the Nigerian legal system. This establishes a clear warning. The state has proven it possesses a court-tested method to strip away illicit wealth, operating entirely independently of a criminal prison sentence. The ultimate deterrent against corruption is the state's proven ability to systematically and permanently dismantle the financial empires left behind.